I still remember the sound that woke me, the sound that haunts me even now, all these decades later. A deep, metallic thunder rolling across the sky, so powerful it felt like it was shaking the earth beneath my boots. At first, I thought it was a storm. But storms don't have engines. Storms don't rattle the trees. Storms don't scream. No, that sound was tanks, German armor, and they were coming straight for us. Before I take you into what happened that morning, do me one favor. If you're someone who loves war history, real soldier experiences, and the stories they never taught you in school, hit that subscribe button right now because you're about to hear what World War II actually felt like from the ground, with dirt in your teeth and death just inches away. Now let me take you back. It was 1944, France. The air was cold, sharp, almost metallic, the kind of cold that hurts when you breathe too deeply. We had been holding an old farmhouse, what command called an easy defensive position, though none of us believed that. In war, nothing is easy. Nothing is safe. Every shadow hides something you don't want to meet. The night before, we'd heard rumors. A German armored division had moved quietly through the forest. No one knew where they were heading. Some said north, some said south. Some said they were already behind our lines. Rumors in war are like ghosts. Blurry shapes that might be real or might be nothing. But hours before dawn, those ghosts became real. The ground began to tremble, a low rumble, steady, unbroken, and then the sound of clanking steel. We rushed outside, our breath turning white in the cold air. The moon was low, barely lighting the farmland in front of us. But we didn't need to see the tanks to know they were close. You feel them before you see them. You feel it in your ribs, in your bones, like the earth itself is warning you. The lieutenant shouted for everyone to get into defensive positions. But the truth is, most of us froze. Not out of fear, though fear was always there, but because we knew exactly what was coming. If tanks were leading the charge, infantry would follow. And behind infantry, artillery. One mistake, one wrong move, one unlucky moment, that's all it took to die in World War II. Survival wasn't bravery. Survival was chance. When the first shell hit, it ripped through the farmhouse like it was paper. The explosion was blinding. White, then orange, then darkness. I remember the taste of dirt in my mouth. I remember my ears ringing so loud I thought I'd gone deaf. I remember someone screaming, though to this day I can't tell if that voice belonged to a friend or to me. The second shell landed even closer. We scrambled through the debris, crawling over splintered wood, shattered glass, twisted metal. The air was filled with dust and smoke. You couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. It felt like trying to breathe underwater. I heard Thompson shouting, "They're flanking us! They're coming from the right!" But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the shadows moving through the smoke, silent, quick, coordinated. German infantry, Panzer grenadiers. These weren't inexperienced soldiers. These were hardened fighters, trained to move with the tanks like wolves hunting with larger wolves. We ducked behind what was left of a stone wall, exchanging fire. The recoil of my rifle shook my frozen fingers. My heartbeat felt like it was trying to break out of my chest. A bullet snapped past my ear, so close I felt the heat of it. Another shattered the stone inches from my face. Every second felt like an hour. Thompson yelled, "We're being surrounded." But I already knew, because out of the smoke, I heard the unmistakable whine of tank treads turning, not coming toward us, but moving around us. They were encircling our position. And that's when it hit me. We were never meant to win this fight. We were meant to survive it, if we were lucky. If you're still with me and you want to hear more and more real stories like this from the men who were actually there, drop a like on this video. It helps more people find these forgotten stories, and it keeps this history alive. Now, back to the battlefield. We fell back toward a narrow trench the engineers had dug days earlier. It wasn't much, barely deep enough to stand in without exposing your helmet, but it was the only cover we had. As we ran, machine gun fire tore through the air behind us. The MG-42, the German buzzsaw. Nothing in the world sounded like it. Fast, violent, unrelenting. If hell had a soundtrack, it was that gun. I dived into the trench, mud splashing into my face. Thompson landed right next to me, gasping for air. His helmet was missing. His hands were shaking. "I thought you were gone," he said. "I thought I was gone," I answered. We peeked over the trench line. The farmhouse was gone. Nothing left but burning timber and fragments of wall. German soldiers were advancing in tight formation. Tanks were pushing debris aside like toys. The sky was dark, with smoke glowing orange from the flames. The lieutenant crawled into the trench and shouted, "Hold this line! Hold this line or we're finished!" But holding the line wasn't the real challenge. Staying alive was. The ground shook again, a shell landing behind us this time. Dirt rained down. The trench felt like it was collapsing. The air was thick with smoke, gunpowder, and fear. Fear is a strange thing in war. It doesn't freeze you. It speeds you up. It makes everything sharper, every detail louder, brighter, more violent. The Germans were almost on us. I aimed, fired, ducked. A bullet grazed Thompson's shoulder. He didn't scream, just gritted his teeth and kept shooting. That was World War II. Pain wasn't something you reacted to. Pain was something you ignored so you could live 1 minute longer. Minutes passed like hours. Hours passed like seconds. Time didn't exist. Only survival did. Eventually, our artillery responded, late, but just in time. The first American shell exploded behind the German line, forcing them to break formation. The tanks shifted direction. The infantry fell back. For the first time in what felt like days, I heard something other than gunfire. I heard the Germans retreating. We were alive, somehow impossibly alive. But survival wasn't a victory. Survival was borrowed time. Days later, we would face another ambush, another bombardment, another moment where everything could end. Many of the men who fought beside me didn't make it home. War wasn't glory. War wasn't honor. War was survival, minute by minute, breath by breath. And the truth people don't like to hear is this. Every soldier who survived World War II didn't win. They were spared. If you want more stories like this, real stories from real soldiers, subscribe to the War Mayday. You keep their memories alive, you keep their voices from fading. And if you want another story, one even more terrifying, just tell me.